But I firstly want to talk a little bit about the specifics of this piece of legislation. Firstly, I want to echo the words of my honourable friend from East Belfast in thanking all of the team in relation to the Northern Ireland Office and the ministerial team for all of the work and the help that they have given me and our team within the Democratic Unionist Party to understand better the issues that are contained within this bill, and also the space to raise our concerns and issues, some of which I will touch on here today. As articulated already, this is not a perfect solution. In fact, I would go so far to say that it is very far from a perfect solution, because it is so limited in what it can actually do and the powers that it gives to the senior civil servants. And that is within the context that, of course, that is very, very difficult and troubling as well, because in relation to those powers to senior civil servants, there is, at its very heart, a democratic deficit, which I think really goes to the centre of British constitutional democracy. And I want to touch on that in a little bit more detail later on, because this is almost, if not unprecedented, in relation to decision-making in any part of our United Kingdom. Throughout this process, from the very first suggestion, as the ministerial team within the Northern Ireland Office will be aware, we have expressed our disappointment in relation to the ambition within these proposals. And that disappointment was very much not because of the fact that the Secretary of State was clearly very keen to ensure that there has been and can be some decision-making in Northern Ireland, but rather that we feel that just putting Northern Ireland back into a pre-Buick decision position, but a post-collapse decision, is not sufficient. This legislation only gives limited scope for decision-making by senior civil servants, and I have to say I felt that the Secretary of State was very frank in being clear about the limits of that. I am grateful, however, that there are some exceptions to that, but those exceptions are very small, and those exceptions cover, for example, the planning and big investment decisions where these are non-controversial, where there's a broad consensus with those, and where it is clearly in the public interest. And I put on record again that I welcome the Secretary of State's clarity on this, that a decision like the Transport Hub, a decision of regional significance, critical in terms of the economy of Northern Ireland moving forward, can be made under the terms. So turning just again to the very specific nature of this bill, what this bill does, in the main, is to give senior civil servants, unaccountable senior civil servants, the power to make some decisions. And I think it has been acknowledged that most of those decisions will be routine, non-controversial, low-level decisions. And rightly pointed out by my colleague, my honourable friend from East Antrim, the vast majority of those decisions on that list of 200 are controversial decisions. They are decisions that cannot be taken under the terms of this bill. And that is why, right from the outset of this process, we have expressed disappointment, because we believe the time has now come. If Sinn Féin will not move on, if Sinn Féin want to boycott the Northern Ireland Assembly, then allow those who want to work. But there needs to be ministerial decisions on a whole range of important issues. I want to turn very briefly to the amendment, which has got some coverage and has caused some controversy in terms of two issues relating to Northern Ireland. And I want to echo again the comments made by many across this House, that we recognise, absolutely recognise, I recognise that these issues are of deep concern to many people in Northern Ireland. These issues are of deep concern to many people in my constituency. We have heard the stories, the experiences of women, particularly in those in terms of life-limiting conditions or fatal abnormality, as it's referred to. We have listened to the stories and their experiences, and they are incredibly difficult. I would challenge anybody not to feel empathy in terms of the very challenging circumstances that those women find themselves in. I spoke in the Northern Ireland Assembly just prior to the collapse in relation to a report that we commissioned. And I spoke on behalf of the DUP in the Northern Ireland Assembly, and I urged people to wait, let us see this report, and approach this situation with compassion and care. That report has been received, and I honestly believe, and I say to this House today, that I believe that if the Northern Ireland Assembly is re-established, that report can be debated, considered, and I believe it will be decided on by the people in the Northern Ireland Assembly where it rightly should be dealt with. And the only thing that is holding that up at the moment is a lack of a Northern Ireland Assembly, and there is no impediment for that Assembly to get back to work and get back to work tomorrow if Sinn Féin drops its red line. So yes, there are some concerns in terms of this piece of